Good day and welcome to Study Skills for Early Childhood Development Assistants and Teachers. Learning as an adult can be challenging, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Our team is here to provide you with practical tips to help you stay motivated and engaged throughout your learning journey. Taking charge of our own motivation is the first step to succeeding as lifelong learners. Motivation is the personal investment we have in reaching a goal, and it comes from how important our goal is, what we want, and how badly we want it. As adult learners, we choose to believe in our ability to succeed. When we are motivated, we work hard to learn effectively, and as a result, we perform well and we feel good about ourselves. This good feeling makes us want to work harder, and this cycle, motivation, results, feeling great, motivation, more results, goes onward and upward. The way we talk to ourselves can have a huge impact on our motivation and energy levels. Negative self-talk can sap our energy, while positive self-talk can help keep us motivated. Some simple but effective ways to promote self-talk that is positive is to notice when you're being negative and try to reframe your thoughts in a positive way. For example, I can't do this should be, I may struggle at first, but I can learn and improve. Use positive affirmations such as I'm capable, I'm strong, or I can do this. And remember to visualize success. Imagine yourself succeeding in achieving your goals. Always surround yourself with positivity. Celebrate your successes, focus on your accomplishments, and give yourself credit for your hard work. Hello. My name is Seema, and today I'm hosting the session that focuses on study skills. I have the absolute privilege of having Melissa and Thandeka in studio with me. Melissa and Thandeka are development professionals with experience in training, facilitation, and education. Melissa and Thandeka, thank you so much for joining us. Thandeka, I must say, I remember when I decided to start studying again as a young adult. I was very anxious and very stressed. I thought, how would I find the motivation to just get started? Mostly I was scared about whether I would be able to pass my course. So what advice would you have for our ECD audience to find the courage to start studying, to stay motivated?
Thanks, Seema. Thanks for your question. I think what is really important is to find the why. Understand what you are going to do and why you want to do it. As someone who wants to go into a professional development space in terms of encouraging and improving your own professional trajectory, but also for the children, your learners in the classroom. You want to keep them growing, their minds inquisitive, and so is yourself. So you want to always make sure that you put yourself in a space of learning and reflection, and also getting to a place where you can achieve your goals. And I think that is quite important into understanding where you want to be in life to grow, because we all know that we have responsibilities, we want to further our homes, we want to travel, we want to get more worldly experiences. So it's quite necessary to get that goal set in mind, so that when you have achieved and gone through those different levels, you will know that you actually put yourself and your children in your classroom ahead.
Absolutely. I think starting with the why is so important. You mentioned the word growth. What is a growth mindset?
So a growth mindset, in my opinion, is that we can harness and improve on our beliefs and attitudes and skills about the learning area that we focus through. And that is through hard work and dedication. I think once we put that in our belief in terms of getting to a better place in terms of what we know and what we do, we will definitely achieve it. I think a lot of people feel that they can be sometimes stagnant about learning, that I don't know this and I can't figure this out because I'm a certain age. And we should never classify ourselves in that. We should always want to learn and to become better because we are exposed to so many opportunities. I think one analogy that I will say is that people sometimes look at us as cars, as if you're on a constant moving trajectory and you can't stop, fuel up and, improve yourself and become a faster engine. And you can with learning, because you learn so many different attributes, so many characteristics, so much professional development that you can use in your own space. And I think that is really what is important about understanding a growth mindset, is that it can evolve and change over time, and it can only add to your personal growth.
That is a very powerful idea. And I think one of the most important things that helped me get over my fear, because we're also carrying a lot of messaging about you're good at this, but you're not so good at that. And you start to think that I have a fixed ability, but really with our brains, we don't have a fixed ability because it's similar to a muscle. Growth mindset, it can grow. Melissa, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely right. So I think many times the people we think of as successful adult learners are just people who have really good study skills, that they've practiced and they're able to study in a way that is very effective and efficient. And then people just call them, they have natural ability, but that might not be the case. Often it is, through this growth mindset, this idea that you don't have to immediately be good at something, that you can, through effort, through repetition, become good at something. When you have a fixed mindset, you tend to be quite critical of yourself. You see yourself in competition with others. You want to give up because, as soon as something is challenging. Whereas with the growth mindset, you see it, you're able to challenge yourself. You're able to see, okay, I'm not that good at this now, but I'm sure in time, through repetition, through practice, I'll be able to improve my skills. And in that way, we can take inspiration from the success of others. We don't see them as competition. We don't think of ourselves as less, but maybe someday I'll be able to be there where they are. So I think it's just attributing that success to actions rather than innate ability.
Yes, you're right about the word inspiration from others. For our ECD audience, it must be amazing for them to draw that inspiration from the little ones, because they're just driven to learn through play, to do their daily activities, and growth is a natural thing for them. Perhaps it's later on in life that we start to internalize, you can't, or you're not going to be good at this. So they would probably be very, very good little teachers for our ECD teachers. I remember thinking that I was the only one learning so slowly. How can our ECD teachers manage the stress of learning after a day in the ECD classroom?
Sure, so the usual methods kind of apply in terms of making sure you're getting exercise, a healthy diet, you're getting enough sleep, making time for the things that you enjoy. But one really important aspect is trying to create a support system. So having people who support you, whether that be your friends and family, or whether it's a peer group who have similar goals in terms of maybe studying, improving their professional development. This way you can get encouragement, when you're feeling a bit low, if you don't feel like studying today. A study group or a support group keeps you accountable to your own goals, reminds you why you're doing this. So that's really important. And if you can't find people in your life to do that, there's also options of going online, for instance, with social media these days. We can find people who may be doing the same course as we are and support each other that way. So it's just really important to find those people who can give you that extra boost when you need it.
Very, very true. I do recall peer support groups were built into the course when I was studying. And oftentimes it was a discussion about just venting, maybe about how frustrated we felt at that point in time, or asking somebody, so do you remember exactly what we're supposed to do in this assignment? But it was actually amazing support to get from your peers. Everybody felt like they were in it together. And you started to realize, hang on, I'm not smarter or not as smart as the next person. It's pretty much a journey that we're all on.
Absolutely.
What is the next step, Thandeka, on the adult learning journey?
Thanks for that, Seema. I think what I see as the next step is definitely having a clear goal objective. You really want to set this early onset in place because you really want to make sure you stay focused and determined. You don't want to find yourself being demotivated because you're not sure where you want to go. And this learning journey is forever. It's not something that you'll feel like you can disconnect from. Like my colleague was saying, Melissa, about peer support, encouragement. Those are the same tools that also encourage us to improve on ourselves. But what I want you to see in having this clear objective and goal is that you need to make sure you have smart indicators that you put in place so that you know how to simplify getting there or moving and improving on your journey, making sure that you stick to your time, making sure your goal is relevant in terms of the space you're in terms of learning or educating yourself about your classroom, making sure it's measurable as well. How much time are you spending on doing this? Is it taking up too much of your family time, giving you headaches, aches and pains? And how do you make sure that you can achieve this goal? I think those are the ways that you can harness and foster that learning journey as something that will always improve your professional journey.
So you mentioned SMART goals, and many of us have seen the acronym SMART. It is, I think, really very smart actually, because it helps you to be very on point about what you want to achieve in your learning. So I decided I wanted to complete 2 online courses in 6 months. So that was specific, and I understood exactly what I was doing because it was measurable. It was 2 online courses, so I didn't get distracted. It was achievable at the time because load shedding wasn't really too bad back then, and it was very relevant to what I wanted to study. It was going to assist with a promotion in my career, and time bound because there were two courses and 6 months. So it helped me with planning. It sounds like it would make sense, though, to write the goals down. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. And another great idea would be to take that big goal that we have and to break it down into smaller mini goals. Achieving those little mini goals sometimes gives us that little dopamine boost that we need in order to keep us on track, to keep us motivated. We all like ticking things off our to-do list. So having those smaller, more achievable goals is actually a great idea. And another thing that is absolutely important to our learning success is to come up with a realistic study schedule.
So Melissa, I'm so glad that you mentioned a study timetable. There are many different ways of doing this. What would you advise our ECD audience to do when creating their study timetable?
Sure. So I think it's really important to be realistic, to bear in mind all the responsibilities we have in our daily life and find out where in our regular routines we can find blocks of time to prioritize studying. And in those chunks of time that you do find, that you really focus, you really dedicate that time, get rid of all distractions, and make studying really your only priority in that time. I think it's also a good idea to make mini study goals for each of those study sessions. Maybe there's one learning outcome that you want to hit in that chunk of time. And it's also important to reward yourself if you achieve those goals. Reward yourself, say, I did really well. I ignored all other distractions and I managed to hit my goal for this study session. So that's really important in terms of scheduling study time. Another aspect would be finding an accountability partner. I mentioned accountability before, but sometimes just having that one individual who you're checking in with regularly, you're saying, you said that you wanted to hit this specific goal, have you done so? It's just a tool whereby we can keep each other motivated and keep each other on track. It's easy to kind of miss one thing, one study session, and then you're behind, and then it becomes easier to miss others as you go along. But with an accountability partner, you're going to have to report to someone, by the end of the week or however regularly you meet. So it's just another tool to really keep us on track, to keep us committed to our goals, and to our own professional development success.
And I completely agree with Melissa about having a realistic schedule. We have so many things going on in our lives that we might say, I've blocked out time to study, but something happens, there's an incident that you need to attend to, the kids are burning the house down. So you really want to make sure that as you have an as realistic schedule as possible, but also realize that you can have tweaks here and there. But make sure that you capitalize on the time that you know that you're most productive to do your studying. And in that, you are able then to feel satisfied at the end of the day that you even could commit to 2 hours in the day to doing your study. I think what makes it difficult sometimes is that when we feel stressed and anxious about not achieving those goals, we end up getting a bit of burnout because we actually are not focusing on the time that we spend to actually study, but we're stressing that we haven't done anything during the day. So I think it's so important to really carve out that time for yourself and also be kind to yourself. You know, this is a journey of reflection, of learning, of giving yourself room to improve. So why not allow yourself to also make the mistakes so that you can pick yourself up later and also share that information with your colleagues or peers who are going through any frustrations, who may not have an opportunity to share it with their loved ones as well.
For sure, life happens all the time and it doesn't stop because you're on a study journey. So things like burnout and timetabling is important to remember. With timetabling, I learned eventually if an assignment is due next week Friday, I would schedule to have it ready by Tuesday. So if my little one came down with a cold, I wasn't really panicked about it. I used to get panicked when I wasn't timetabling properly and I didn't have a proper study schedule for myself. And then I was pushing through ridiculous deadlines, and that is when the burnout happened. Other things intervened. I remember literally a week before my exam was scheduled, there was a family wedding happening. So I had to adjust my timetable for that. After a good cry on the couch, I think I got through it and I passed the exam. But timetabling and avoiding burnout, self-care, having people cheer you on like accountability partners, talking to your family and sharing your timetable with them. This is when mom is studying. So we'll need some time for you to do something while I'm learning, and all of those things just then started to come together. But even that process took time. So yes, people are not going to flow seamlessly into becoming adult learners. It takes time to acquire the skills to actually become an adult learner once you decide to start studying. So Thandeka, I've often heard the phrase, it sounds very interesting to me. I would like to be a lifelong learner. I don't want to stop learning. It may be different things. I might be doing a course. I might be doing some on-the-job learning. But it sounds exciting to realize we are lifelong learners.
Absolutely, Seema. I mean, if you had to look at a child in an ECD room, you see their fascination, their curious mind, the ability to try and figure things out is because they are also learning to explore on things that they are exposed to even in their classrooms. So I think even as adults, we should see learning as that. Being inquisitive, being curious, being wanting to find out what's going on, so that we can also adapt professionally and also individually. What I find so interesting having a daughter who's 5 is even the small things that she finds interesting is evaporation of water in a cup, just because it's exposed outside for too long. But that teaches her so much about photosynthesis, about the sun, about the air, and those are the things that we want to cultivate in lifelong learning as well. It's not just this textbook, this online course that you have to complete, but how is it cultivating me to be in an environment of learning, be it at work and also outside at work, in my home, in my social setting, and how I also pass on teaching to other people.
An amazing, amazing philosophy and principle, especially for our ECD teachers and assistants to have, because they are with our little ones who arrive, I think, in the world excited and curious as you say. They can literally watch an ant crawling across the floor with such attention for a half an hour. So it's wonderful for them to be in that environment and to maintain that. And Melissa, as you were saying, also when we do tick a learning goal off, to celebrate that. So that's a very happy note to end this segment on, celebration of learning, curiosity itself, and lifelong learning. We are now going to go to our next topic, which is effective study strategies for adult learners. And then we will be back to get some great advice around that from Melissa and Thandeka. Thank you, Melissa and Thandeka. We'll chat again now about effective strategy.